So my name is Eric Moore, and I am on the most radical mission of all time. The mission to end extinction. This is not going to be easy, but it is going to be done, for we have to save life on our planet before it's gone, before it's too late. And how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to do this by finding the wild hero in all of us. Together, we are going to usher in a new nature, a new humanity, a coexistence like the world has never seen before. Right now, humanity has a choice to make, whether to continue killing the planet or start saving the planet. I think you know the answer, so do I. The only thing left to do is get wild. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning. Here we are, the final episode for what has been an amazing series. From the kickoff, I was thrown into an adventure like I had never experienced before. Going into it, I knew what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish, but I had no idea what I was about to actually experience and the invigoration that I would still be left with on the ending, on the conclusion of it. Without a doubt, one of the coolest adventures I've ever had. It was packed with adrenaline, packed with awesome animals, and packed with folks who are just nothing but pure inspiration for the folks around them, for what they're doing for the natural environment and the animals living there. And on this final episode, we're going to bring it all together as we celebrate one of the coolest predators on the planet, sharks. And Florida itself is a natural hotspot for these apex predators. And they're one of the ones I've chosen to highlight for this series because they've been doing it for hundreds of millions of years. These predators have adapted to become such a magnificent thing. And frankly, we are causing so much damage to them that it needs to stop now. But the best part about it is I discovered a load of people here in the state of Florida committed to preserving this amazing species. But before we dive into the adventure, let's break down what the shark really is. Jameson, where is it? Bring it here. No, the shark. The shark. We want the shark. Jameson, the shark. Tennis ball is his first love. I think this shark is his second. Had to go get it myself. Anyways. Yeah, you want to sit? Wait. Okay. So here it is, the shark. There are 500 species of shark on the planet today, and most of them do not come in this shape or this size. But this is kind of like the best model we have for the generic shark. From tip to snoot, these animals are nothing but built to survive, built to be the masters of their domain. From most sharks, from tip to tail, have what we call, actually all of them have ampullae of Lorenzini. Basically, an additional sense to pick up minute vibrations and help them travel through the water without using their eyes. It helps them hunt, it helps them navigate, it helps them do so many incredible survival tactics. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. And on top of that, they have another sort of sixth sense, and it's the lateral line coming down the body. That's another one that picks up vibration, helps it hunt, helps it maneuver in places the light can't touch. It's absolutely insane. And then general structure of it. We have our dorsal fins, we have our tail fin, the caudal up and down, we have our pectoral fins, and we have our pelvic fins. And of course the teeth. The teeth are what makes them so fearful, and for good reason. They're designed to latch onto their prey and take chunks out of it efficiently and quickly, because when you're a shark, often the feeding becomes a frenzy, and unlike us, they can't use a fork and a knife, so they have to tear their flesh off, and every now and then a tooth gets loose, but another one just pops up right into its place. Sharks go through teeth like Jameson goes through tennis ball. I'm swearing like a couple a day, don't you? You can have it back soon. But now they do come in all shapes and sizes. Some are flat, some have a hammerhead, Some are huge and feed on the most minute thing. And Florida is so lucky to be home to such a diverse array of shark species, but also a diverse array of shark advocates. Sharks in Florida are being cheered for by so many different people, from kids to adults to businessmen. I think there really is a turning of the tide for sharks in Florida, but they need our help. They can only do so much. What is it that we can do to help them? And that's where this board comes in. The thing about extinction, as it is real, as it is happening, you can't really put your hand on it. You can't really punch it in the face because it's everywhere, but it's also nowhere. So in order to punch it in the face, we have to put it in somewhere we can write it down and we can see it, and we can start eliminating things off. I came up with this strategy after reading this book, The Future of Life by E.O. Wilson. And it's within there, he mentions the 5-letter acronym for the threat to biodiversity within all levels of nature and in the planet as a whole. And that acronym is HIPPO, hippo. And I'm sorry to the beloved mammals over there in Africa. I love you guys to death. We're not talking about you. You guys are happy in your water holes. I'm talking about habitat loss, invasive species, pollution, poaching, and overharvesting. Those 5 things are killing the planet at a rate never seen before. And so I've taken those problems and from what I've learned in E.O. Wilson and created this chart. And we're going to dive into that later. But for first, right now, let me tell you the adventure of a dive I got to have in the middle of the summer with a great guy named Ryan Walton and his group at Shark Tours Florida. And these folks are so dedicated to sharks and bringing people into that realm safely and changing the opinions of so many. Man, it was absolutely incredible. Check it out. We're headed out of here from Jupiter, Florida to the Atlantic Ocean to see what species are hanging around during the summer, how they interact with the people around them, and we're being led by a really cool group of folks at Shark Tours Florida.
My name's Caitlin McQueenie. I'm a marine biologist and captain of Shark Tours Florida here in West Palm Beach. I love their power, I love how misunderstood they are, and I love that we get to do this every day and show people that they're not the monsters that the media portrays them to be. To really expose, use videos and photos to expose the damage that's being done to the ocean and raise awareness. People, not just people here in Florida that get to see the ocean every day, but people in Ohio and Wyoming. Show them that they're directly affected by the ocean as well, and they need to save it, not just the people who enjoy the beaches.
I love this time of year. Pelagic season lasts from about mid-May till the end of August, so you're catching the end of pelagic season here. What I love about pelagic season is the challenge. It's just different. Most of the sites here, they're mating sites. This is a little bit different. We think it's a pupping site as well. So there's a variety of different species and sizes that aggregate to this pelagic zone that we're going to. We have been seeing silky sharks move back in over the last 24 hours. So let's hope today we get more silkies, because I want to put sharks up in your face. Bull sharks can be a little bit harder to work with. The silky sharks will come up and they will interact. So on to the rules. Rule number 1, don't be dumb, stay out of the chum. We got the crate system back here, big orange float ball with a crate. We're gonna detach today. We're not gonna stay attached. We've got 3 experienced shark divers here. So we're actually gonna detach from the vessel to a free drift. So hopefully a rare animal like a scalloped hammerhead will come in and check out our dive because they feel comfortable with that. Rule number 2, don't act like a dying animal. Silky sharks can travel up to 100 miles in a day. And when they're traveling that far, they gotta search for whatever prey they can. They've adapted to feeding on small birds flapping around at the surface. So I ask you, please don't flap around like a small bird. That would be the small bird. No hand flapping, slapping, clapping, any of that. And we can avoid any accidents with these super predators. We're gonna talk about the species of sharks that we could see. You heard me mention scalloped hammerhead, you heard me mention silky. Silky's the main reason rule number 2 is so prominent right now. Rule number 2 being don't act like a dying animal, don't flap around. The silky sharks are opportunistic predators. What I love, 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 love this time of year is the dusky shark. I really, really enjoy the mystery of getting out here and really not knowing what's going to show up. You know what's going to show up, but you don't know what's going to show up. You know that you're going to get the same variety of animals, but each day it's a little bit different as to how that vibe goes. Sandbar sharks. They're much lighter in color. They're super hydrodynamic. Their pectoral fins are completely symmetrical, extremely long, and you can see how they look like they're flying through the water column. Their dorsal fin is also extremely tall. For reasons, they've also been overfished severely for the Asian shark fin trade. Now there's a special permit here for people to be able to fish sandbar so it can be closer monitored, even though they're an endangered species. The dusky sharks. The dusky sharks are big and bold when we can get them to eat. Dusky sharks have a rounded snout and a pointed dorsal.
So finally I got to dive in, and I tell you what, this is one of the most surreal moments of my life. Felt like transcending onto a different planet. These sharks just so placid in nature, not even bothered by our presidents. Look at that, check that out. No aggression. And the other two sharks in the frame just going on their merry way, as is every other organism, and it's absolutely unreal. And it's heartbreaking to think about the challenges these sharks are facing. We have to be better. Look at that. Like a dance. Absolutely incredible.
So we had 3 different species over the course of 2 hours. Not too shabby, pretty cool. Out of the 8 possible species that can show up right now. So thank you all for being here.
What an absolutely epic experience it was to dive in and share space with those sharks. It truly was a dream come true, and I truly felt no sense of just attack or aggressiveness out of the sharks. I sensed curiosity, I sensed a sort of calmness about the situation, and I knew that the safety divers at Shark Tours Florida had my back, and I was being led by that great guy, Ryan Walton. You know, sharing space with those sharks only added my love for these amazing animals and added to my desire to come up with a way to re-strengthen the efforts of the wild heroes I've met dedicating to preserving these species. And it was an experience I'll never forget. I can't wait to go back. You know, I'd almost rather spend time with sharks than with people. Now, speaking of people, over the summer, I did meet a huge group of people coming together to create basically an army for sharks. And what this army is trying to overcome is sort of reflected on this board here. This is my mission grid, my hippo grid. And this is where I've taken the 5-letter acronym and broken it down to its integral components, and from there I labeled different battles that we need to fight in order to end extinction, to end the war and the threat of humanity's destruction in the natural world. And for example, within pollution we have litter. Litter is one of the most laziest traits of humanity. That is not something done by the big corporations, it's not something done by governments, it's done by individuals who haven't ignited the wild hero within them yet. And instead of making sure a piece of trash, as sad as the trash is, it's a bin, they just chuck it and leave it there. And that creates such a huge threat for the animals living in the area. Everything goes back to the ocean at some point if it's near the water. If it hits the water, unfortunately, it's gonna potentially make its way to the ocean and become an issue for sharks. The tiger shark of Florida has been found with tires, beer cans, metal parts, pieces of trash that would blow your mind, and that's not supposed to be there. And it happens in all levels of the environment. Litter is seeping its way into the reefs and choking off the environments there. So litter is a huge issue, one of just many. But what is the issue that is litter? Well, in my opinion, it's a lack of ethic. It's a lack of moral fiber that I think everyone should have, for this is something we can fix tomorrow. This is something we can fix now. Just making sure our trash hits the bin. So our solution is to toss it out. Make sure, even if it's not recyclable, it still hits a trash can and then gets sent to the proper facility. And then if you really, really want to be a hero, under the star we have our heroic actions. And the heroic action for something as litter is organizing cleanups, or just taking the time out of your own day to go and pick up after the laziness of others. We all know of the pollution solutions, I hope, at this point. You know, you could go to your local beach and, whoops-a-daisies, come on. You could go to your local beach and take these out, and as you're enjoying the sun, catching some rays, you can pick up something that was left by folks before, and I'm sure the sharks, the turtles, the birds, you know, they'll thank you for being that much safer, because litter kills. And on that note, I was absolutely thrilled to meet this young girl. Her name's Emmy. I met her at SharkCon. Emmy walks 3 miles every day. This is a young girl doing more than most adults do. Sharks are definitely not alone. This summer, I got to go to the most awesome convention filled with sharks enthusiasts of all sorts. And it was so unreal. I can't wait to go back. And before we get in there, I just want to say thank you to all the vendors and all the folks that made SharkCon happen. It truly is an example in the state of Florida of folks coming together, having a good time. I wish we could do conventions for all species of wildlife. I wish we could do SharkCons in all states, for we're all connected in one giant, huge web. It was the most amazing event, and check it out. SharkCon, an amazing conservation event dedicated to one of the iconic species here in the Sunshine State. This is like a coalition of divers, biologists, and all sorts of shark enthusiasts who've come together for this extraordinary event to help save this species from the brink of extinction. There are so many different walks of life here, and there's so many amazing people doing great work for this great species. Let's dive into the event and see what's going on around here. Well, our first stop here at SharkCon is at a place very close to my heart, a place with an important history to my background, Gatorland. Moved from Canada, it was one of the first places I got a job. It is truly an apex experience, and right here beside me is another apex predator in the state of Florida. Of course, we're here for sharks, but my good buddy Brandon here is holding an American alligator. Of course, they get way bigger than that. Brandon, how old is this guy here?
So this is George, and he is about 3 feet long and about 3 years old.
Yeah?
Yeah, and of course, you know, he's not full grown. He's going to get a lot bigger.
Oh, for sure.
A lot bigger.
So, Brandon, how can the story of the alligator, you know, in a way be translated to the story of the shark, about conserving apex predators and learning to coexist with predators such as gators?
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, you know, here in Florida, we have the biggest population of alligators, about 1.5 million to 2 million, and they're pretty much in every body of fresh water. Now, you also find alligators in the brackish waters, the intercoastals. What's in the intercoastals as well? Sharks too sometimes. So these guys coexist, and they overlap sometimes in the wild, but being an apex predator, a big predator, a big animal here in the state of Florida, we have to learn to live with these guys, because they were here first, and they're going to be here long after. They've been here for 37 million years. Yeah. Sharks have been here millions upon millions of years. You got to learn to live with them and be careful around them, because even to this size, you know, George, and you know very well, you know, they got a very strong bite. And the bigger they get, the stronger that bite gets. They got one of the strongest bites of any animal in the entire animal kingdom. So, you know, getting used to people, feeding them, touching them, catching them, that all gets these guys used to people, and then they come closer, and that's when you hear your bad stories. So.
Booth here at SharkCon, a booth that really knows what it means to coexist with an apex predator here in the state of Florida. And with me to describe is another Eric. Eric Knox of Shark Bites, an application that you can download to your phone that'll tell you where shark incidents are happening around you so you can avoid if you want to and help better plan your day. Eric, thank you for meeting with me here. Tell me about this great app.
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit called Shark Bites, like you said. We specialize in conservation and incident awareness. So as far as the conservation part, every month we do feature a different topic on conservation in our Save Sharks blog that you can get on the app. Every time we update it, we'll send you an alert through the app. We do anywhere from finning to new ways to protect people without killing the shark. So like when they do new technology that gets away from netting, we'll always give people alerts on that and tell people and try to help that when they do petitions to government to stop culling, stuff like that. We're able to a lot of times go on the app and we'll see, we'll do petitions, you can join right there.
That's fantastic. You know, we have now moved into a modern era, and modern era needs modern solutions. We can't go back to the archaic, just kill the shark because the shark's nearby.
Exactly.
That's where this app comes in, and I downloaded it last night, and I gotta say, this app is absolutely fantastic, everyone. Download it for free off the App Store. It's got shark tips, but also has games and trivia. So if you're bored, you can learn about sharks through the app. This is a fantastic thing. You've never had any incidents personally?
No, I haven't. But one of the things we talk about incidents, we try to keep it positive for the sharks, but we still want to get real information out. So every time there is an incident, we call them incidents. We don't use the word attack at all.
No.
So it's always incident, bite, encounter. That way we kind of give you the real information without trying to paint the shark as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because when incidents are going to happen, we know people want to know about, but we want to make sure that we use the right words, because words matter, and paint the right picture, and not try to say like, hey, you know, someone got 7 stitches. We're not going to say, hey, they almost lost an arm.
Yeah.
Because that's just, we're not the media.
We're not going to villainize sharks anymore.
Exactly.
As I continued to explore this event, I continued to find everyone there was there because they love sharks. I bounced around and talked to so many terrific heroes. It gave me so much hope. And there was so much to do. There was so much to see. As we continue to explore this amazing event, of course we have to stop by this booth here, because this booth actually has some animals here, and these animals are ambassadors for what happens when humans and wildlife come into conflict. And this booth here is run by Owl's Nest, a sanctuary for wildlife, and with me here is Rhea, a director of education. And Rhea, who are you holding?
So today I have Noelle with me. She's an eastern screech owl, and she's been with us for about 5 years now. Many things we see that impact wildlife every day. So like I said, Noelle was most likely hit by a car. Oftentimes people think of litter as things that are just trash that doesn't biodegrade. They don't think of things like banana peels or those tomatoes you put on my taco even though I asked you not to. So they throw those items out the window thinking they're biodegradable, and it's not a big deal.
It's really sometimes where you don't even think about having the biggest impact on sweet little animals like Noelle here. And so how does Owl's Nest play a role in the Florida environment?
So we are a state and a federally permitted wildlife rehab. We can deal with almost all native Florida wildlife as well as migratory birds like Noelle here. And we take in those animals that are sick, injured, orphaned. We give them the attention and the care they need with the ultimate goal to get them back out into the wild. They have a good quality of life, but they have a permanent disability like Noelle. We try to find them a qualified home where they can be an ambassador and work on conservation efforts through education instead.
That's fantastic. And so, you know, obviously every animal plays its role in the overall environment. So how does Noelle, being an owl, here at SharkCon, you know, inadvertently help sharks in the wild?
Absolutely. So biodiversity is a big deal in having a healthy ecosystem. It's really important that we're making sure that all predators and preys have a good equilibrium. So one of the big things we have in the Tampa Bay area right now is red tide. Red tide is increased by the overuse of fertilizer runoff. So fertilizers and pesticides and things like that impact owls as well as insects and other animals. So by allowing them to have a healthy population, you can reduce the chemicals you're putting on your lawn because they're going to help maintain a healthy lawn by eating those pests that are going to do damage to your lawn, which then keeps the runoff from going into the bay, the Gulf, and the ocean.
That really is amazing how it all sort of comes together, and that just speaks to how nature is as a whole. You know, every little brick plays a role, bricks being these awesome animals. And how have you enjoyed SharkCon so far?
We love it. We have been attending SharkCon since the beginning. This is a very important event for conservation.
This two-day event is located in Tampa, Florida, one of the hot spots for sharks around the world. And it's here so many different types of people came together to support this amazing species. Some are biologists, some are divers, and some work on the front lines with sharks in the water. Some are teaching tomorrow's future, and some are tomorrow's future. It's fantastic. It's jawsome.
Save sharks!
So, one of my favorite things about this event so far has been the support of the young ones, of the children. I feel like children are doing more for shark conservation than us adults. And here with me is Emma. And Emma is a true definition of what it is to be a wild hero. She spends her free time out on the beaches, picking up plastic, picking up trash, and trying to do what she can to save the ocean environment. Tell us about what you do.
Oh, in my free time we go to the beach and we go on 3-mile beach walks and we love to pick up trash. So I have this plastic bag and when I found it I thought it was an actual jellyfish, and this is from a human's point of view, so just imagine what the sea creatures would think of this as a jellyfish in the water.
She is the next generation of wild heroes. She is doing fantastic work, and grown-ups, we need to be better about making sure we pick up what we bring in, and like her, pick up an extra piece. If we all pick up one more extra piece of trash on our way out, we're gonna do that little bit more to help sharks, to help turtles, and help so much more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you have any last closing thoughts for what you want the world to do to help you?
Don't litter. Just don't litter because it harms everything around you, even if you don't notice it.
And of course, hiding in one of the booths was a familiar face. Ryan Walton and Shark Tours Florida had their booth set up here, showing some of Ryan's amazing artwork. Can't leave here without stopping by a really awesome group here in the state of Florida, Shark Tours Florida. And what's amazing about Shark Tours Florida is it's a chance to bring, what they do is they bring people in the water with apex predators, with sharks. And I am gonna personally attest to that. It's not what we all think, it's not what we believe. And to help me share that sort of feeling is a man with the business, Josh here. Josh, what's your role in the business?
Yep, so I work for Shark Tours Florida. I'm one of the safety divers, working in conjunction with Ryan Walton. That's what we do, bring people in the water with sharks, really trying to change that perception of the kind of the man-eater conception that's out there. The perception of sharks is that there's an element of danger getting in, but I absolutely feel that every person on the planet should have the opportunity to swim with sharks, because you get in there and you can see these animals in their natural habitat and really observe that behavior. So they're not nearly as dangerous as everyone thinks. They're not aggressive. They're very highly intelligent, calculated predators.
Yep.
And every move they make, they sum up kind of the risk-reward factor there, and you'll be able to see that firsthand as soon as you do.
For real. I remember on one of our last dives, we had a bull shark come up. And you read the media, you read the news about bull sharks. Bull sharks are super aggressive. They're, monsters of the sea. But in reality, they're not. They're almost a little the opposite, a little shy, a little timid. What have been some of your best experiences being in the water with sharks?
And so it's great that you bring that up. So the bull sharks get a bad rap because of some studies that were done a while back that said they were the most aggressive.
Yeah.
In my experience, in our experience, I find that to be exactly the opposite. They're the shark that's hanging down there 30 feet below everybody, and they're very shy. You swim at them, they swim away. So I think my best experiences are seeing people in the water with bull sharks, for example, and coming out and being like, I had a complete wrong understanding of what they were about. So seeing that excitement and becoming another, a shark enthusiast on the boat, that's what makes that for me.
And that just shows how many great individuals and businesses have come to this event. This event really is a coalition of conservationists, biologists, shark divers, and just shark enthusiasts alike coming together to work for this species that's so important to the Sunshine State. We are in one of the shark hotspots of the planet, and it's events like this that will really keep the Sunshine State an example for sharks around the planet. Josh, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Eric.
I'm excited for our next dive. I'll see you out there.
We can't wait to get you.
And the Moat Marine Lab setup was absolutely epic. You got to do many experiments to understand what it's like to be in the life of a shark biologist.
Founded in 1955 as a shark research lab by Dr. Eugenie Clark, who was known as the Shark Lady and busted all these myths about sharks. And so since then we've kind of branched into all areas of marine science. Our big goal is sustainability and conservation of the ocean, and of course you cannot have that without protecting and saving sharks. Here are representing the different research factors that we're doing. Basically we're tagging sharks, we're figuring out where they're going, what they're doing, areas that need to be protected, those kinds of
I was inspired, and I'm sure many others were as well.
So this event has been absolutely amazing so far, and there's been so many different businesses out there having great initiatives for shark conservation. Sharks are being critically endangered by so many different factors. One of the most significant factors is pollution. Pollution is really choking up our seas, and the vendor behind me has actually done something really, really cool. She's gone and she's picked up plastic from her local beach and turned it into a beautiful item here. So it's really showing how we can move forward and turn pollution and plastics into a profitable thing, and at the same time clean up the environment that these apex predators need to survive. And this is absolutely incredible. It's got this beautiful coloring on it, and these colors are all natural. This is all plastic from the beaches, and it's made in a plant-based resin. So this is absolutely a fantastic product, and it's doing fantastic work for these sharks that we are here supporting. If I have some time, I'd really recommend, if you guys have some time, checking this stuff out and getting some. It goes a long way and it helps sharks.
This event is truly something that's worth going to, and I can't wait to come back year after year after year. Without a doubt, the folks at SharkCon, each and every one of them, are a true hero for this apex species here in the state of Florida. They are themselves some apex wild heroes, and they are doing what they can in this column to be that little bit more so we can start erasing all of this down here. These are the many battles, and one by one each of those folks in their own way is fighting that battle and making it weaker, but they all need our strength. And as shown, there's many ways to make a difference, and there's many little ways to make a difference. It doesn't take the huge drastic life-altering sort of habit to change. No, it just takes simple minute things every day that you don't even think about, and it can go a long, long way. One of the coolest ways I think you can be a hero is by just getting out and exploring and falling in love with Mother Nature and the natural wildlife surrounding us. And when it comes to shark, how you explore that sort of realm is to get into a dive community. You can start by snorkeling, or you can get into scuba diving, and scuba diving is absolutely unreal. I've had the privilege of getting to share this environment as I worked my way up to becoming a scuba instructor at this point, and along the way I've had the chance to see so many people fall in love with this aquatic environment. And you know, the irony of it all is the ocean and the water environment takes up such a massive chunk of the planet we're on, and so few people ever truly get the chance to share moments with all the organisms living under the surface. And to me, that's where some of the biggest inspirational moments happen, when I see, wow, check out this tiny little fish on this reef just going about his daily routine, and there's a beer can beside it thrown, you know, who knows where, but it's made its way all the way out there. So the more people we can get diving and see this aquatic realm and see how pollution such as litter and mercury and all the other things ailing the reefs are coming there, see how we can turn the tide of pollution in the ocean. And speaking of the dive community, I actually kicked off my summer with one of the coolest experiences ever. It was actually at the shark bite capital of the world, New Smyrna Beach, Florida. As we heard with the Shark Bites app, remember, these are just incidents. These are just one-offs. We don't have to live in fear. And it was at this shark bite capital of the world. Women really came together as a bunch of heroes, a group of heroes committed to making sure that we have a new dawn for coexistence in the future. It was absolutely the coolest thing ever. Check it out. Good morning. It's a beautiful morning, and we're going to spend it taking care of this beautiful beach. It's Patty Women's Dive Day, and we're going to celebrate it by getting out of the water for once and actually doing a beach cleanup. These women have all come together, taking their weekend to come and pick up a beautiful stretch of New Smyrna Beach. It's a very important ecosystem. We're going to jump into it. The coast, where the sea meets the land. And unfortunately, where a lot of plastic and other pieces of trash wash up from the world's ocean and the world's shipping and many other places. And it's a shame, because it's often the coast that are some of the most diverse ecosystems on it. From the little crabs to the sand fleas trying to eat me alive, to the turtles coming up here to the nest, to the sharks and fish just beyond, plus all the birds. And all these birds and all these other animals have to deal with finding their own meals, living their lives, and they don't need our trash on top of it. Everything from crustaceans to cetaceans to avians to even some small mammals come to the coast to live out their daily lives. And the human interference around here has been so heartbreaking and so detrimental. But there's been a turn of the tide. People are really starting to appreciate the wilderness that they can find right here at the popular beaches around Florida. Smyrna Beach is also known as the shark bite capital of the world, but that doesn't stop hundreds and hundreds of Americans coming out to enjoy this beach on a day-to-day basis. And why is it the shark bite capital of the world? Because it's one of the largest shark nurseries. And what are they here to do? They're here to grow, and they're here to eat the baby sea turtles. And those sea turtles are about to hatch in a couple months. And without the help of these wonderful women on Patty's Dive Day, doing this dive against debris, those turtles would have a lot more plastic, metal, and just all sorts of trash to climb over to get to where they need to be out in the ocean and to get into the bellies of those sharks. So what these women are doing here today are actually helping out the entire ecosystem right beneath our noses that many Americans and many tourists as well just don't understand what's going on here. Those women and the divers at Seminole Scuba truly are some amazing heroes. They are a volunteer force that got up early one weekend when everyone else was still laying in bed. They got up to pick up other people's trash. That is the commitment that it really takes to start bringing nature back into the world. Humanity has taken so much and left so much behind. We have created such a path of destruction that it's absolutely paramount that we continue the effort set forth, such as the people with Seminole Scuba for Patty Women's Dive Day. And truly, if you want to get into the cause and start helping out, become a diver yourself. There's so many dive-related programs associated with picking up the environment around us. Now, another really cool discovery along my adventures was also at SharkCon, and it's this fishing lure here from Bees Bait Shops. Is that in focus? Yes, this fishing lure is from Bees Bait Shops, and it's called a doobie. And funny enough, that's because it's made from hemp. And what that allows it allows the lure itself here to dissolve in water. And if you're like me and you go through a lot of lures or you lose a lot of lures, you don't have to sweat so much, because this over time will break down to its natural materials. Now, if only we could do the same for the hook and the fishing line. And speaking of hooks and fishing line, on another shark encounter with Shark Tours Florida, I witnessed one of the most heroic acts I've seen to date with a wild animal. We were doing a dive later in the summer, and most of the pelagic animals had moved on, and the lemon sharks had started to return. One in particular, a local legend named Miss Snooty, had a huge hook in her mouth and like 20 feet of line out. And I witnessed this man risk his limb to save this shark and give it a better tomorrow. It was absolutely incredible, and it just added more incentive for me to carry out Ryan's mission and everyone else's mission and strengthen their efforts to protecting this environment, protecting this world. If we lose sharks, we start losing the ocean. If we start losing the ocean, it's not long until we lose our own selves. So congratulations and thank you to all the heroes already doing great work, and we're going to continue the fight.
On the time of year, but the species of sharks here change quite frequently by season. Sharks follow the prey item, but this time of year we're mostly working with lemon sharks, and in the summer we mostly work with silky sharks. way to get involved with protecting sharks is to make sure that you're not consuming anything that could be shark. Squalene is an ingredient used in lip gloss that humans are smearing all over their face without realizing they're smearing a super predator on their face. There's many things. Whitefish in pet food can often be sharks. So there's many things we can do awareness-wise to make sure that we're not consuming shark meat, even not knowing it was shark meat. It's all too often that we're seeing the animals with hooks in them. So what you saw, one of our celebrity sharks, Miss Snooty, showed up today, and she did have a hook in her mouth. I've removed probably a half a dozen hooks from her specifically, and I do try to remove hooks from whichever sharks I can safely. However, it's important that people don't just go trying to take hooks out of sharks' mouths. You can damage the shark, and you can damage yourself. Some of the concerns that I have with trying to take a hook out of a shark in a sensitive area, say it's too close to the eye, you could actually damage that membrane and cause the animal to go blind. So while I do feel like I'm doing a very positive thing helping remove the hooks, we need to remember that only people that have been doing this a very long time should be attempting something like that.
Tell you what, getting to witness that heroic act done by Ryan Walton was another chance to highlight all the unseen heroics that folks are doing for wildlife around the globe. Ryan wasn't doing it for fame. He wasn't doing it for money. He was doing it because he loves sharks. And I tell you what, lemon sharks are a great example of how misunderstood sharks are. Lemon sharks are big, they're curious, and they like to come in gregarious numbers, in large numbers. And in reality, they're nothing more than like a golden retriever. They're friendly. Well, I wouldn't say they're friendly, but they have a certain calmness about them. They have a certain respect about them, and a respect that I hope we can give back to sharks. Man has grown in fear of sharks, and granted, some species are man-eaters, but not all of them. Often. And so what Ryan Walton did is he took the battle against he took the fight against one of our battles here. He took it against net and lines. Nets and lines are one of the major factors of pollution that's influencing the sharks' lives these days, and it often is caused by a lack of duty. Often, the fisherman just doesn't want to tangle with the shark, so will cut the line, or even worse, sometimes we've seen him try to kill it by shooting a bullet in the head of the shark, and the shark's gotten away. Now, we can't really fix the bullet hole in the shark's head, but thanks to their great survival abilities, they're actually often able to recoup their injuries. But what they can't recoup is the fishing line and the hook in their mouth. So that's where Ryan really did a great thing. You can do something similar in a way. If you get into scuba diving, you can start doing what we call dive against debris, which is removing fishing line and hooks that aren't necessarily in a shark's mouth, but tangled around a piece of coral. There is a way that you can do something similar on your own, and then we can start erasing this whole issue from the issue of sharks. And we can start doing it on all sorts of levels. As we've discovered in SharkCon, there are folks tackling all sorts of issues out there, and they need our help. On top of that, this is just for the sharks. Every animal out there you can do one of these grids for and realize that they are facing a lot of the similar problems as the apex predators as well. We could see that the panthers are facing the same issues with mercury, for example, as sharks are out in the ocean. And that comes back to another form of pollution, chemical runoff, lawn care. So us homeowners with a backyard, our little actions in our garden can go a long way into reducing the mercury levels in the sharks, in the panthers, in the crocodiles. Now, of course, big old agriculture, the suppliers of our produce and of our food in the grocery markets, they have a lot to answer for as well, and they have a lot of changes that they need to make. And that we can fix by being a better voter. We can start enforcing that the ones in political offices, the ones with power, make sure that they have species survival on their agenda and figuring out ways to coexist with nature as well. And so there's a lot of similar, there's Better Voter is here as well. Better Voter goes against Red Tide. So if we just learn to be better voters, we can start fixing a lot of these issues and get them off. Here's another Better Voter. That's for climate change. We can erase that. There's a lot of similarities, the point is, between issues with sharks and issues facing other animals. And we can do this. We have the strength. Humanity are terrific builders, but they're also terrific fixers. We just have to find a way to make money out of it. Greed is such a driving force for humans, and if we can find a way to supplement that greed by giving them cash, but at the same time cleaning this slate, we'll do it in a heartbeat. Money talks, baby, and we just have to make pollution more profitable. We have to make reversing climate change more profitable. But for those who aren't in it for the money, the wild hero is already in you. You just need to get out there and explore and ignite the beast within you to come out and fight for the natural world that we need to survive. And there we have it. That Ark adventure and all of the other adventures before and along with it were truly some of the coolest experiences I've ever got to have. I've been pretty lucky to have the chance to explore most of my life, but seldom have I got the chance to bring out a camera and share the world that I love so much. It was definitely a learning journey for me. I'm used to going out there alone with a fishing pole, some binoculars, but bringing a camera out there and filming it and creating something out of it. The efforts of Ryan Walton and the efforts of all the folks at SharkCon, we can start changing how this grid here looks. And so now we can take all these things that we've got for sharks alone and combine them with our hippo grids from the crocodile or from the panther or from all the other organisms that share this planet together, and we can start overlapping them and seeing where some common changes can be made that could benefit the croc, the panther, or the shark, or any other animal. The world we live in is in one giant web, so something that could benefit a shark might also benefit a panther if we can find a way to start getting our agriculture a little better. If you look on here, we have red tide, which is from agricultural runoff. We have mercury, which is another chemical runoff. So if we can start taking better care of our lawns and being better with our agriculture, where did it go? There we are. If we can start being better with our agriculture, we can start removing the mercury from the oceanic environment, but we can also start giving cleaner water back to the Peheoki and to the frogs of the Everglades. It's all connected. What I have loved so much about the Shark Mission is seeing folks of all walks of life doing unseen heroic actions just because they want to see a better day for sharks. And as I've discovered throughout all my adventures, there are those sort of dedicated heroes throughout, working out the goodness of their heart to help a wild species survive. And they need our help, because if we don't help them protect their beloved species and their species start evaporating from the planet one by one, eventually we're going to lose the biodiversity needed to support our very own selves. So the time is now to go out and start being a little bit more of a conscientious citizen in Florida, in the US, and on the planet as a whole. And so where do we go from here? This was the final story of what was an apex summer, discovering all that we could about Florida's apex predators. But the more we found out, the more we discovered to explore. So the adventure continues. The mission continues. There are so many battles out there needing to be fought and needing to be won. This is going to be a very, very long war. The war against extinction. But it's an eternal war, and it's one that we must fight. For if we lose this war, we're going to lose the natural world around us. And if we lose the natural world around us, eventually we're going to lose what's needed for humanity. This is the beginning of a new era. The past is the past, and we needed the past to get to where we are today. But it doesn't mean we have to be stuck in the bad habits of old. Us as humans, we have the strength to build and to fix. And if we can change society and the industry that's currently controlling the world into a greener, a more cleaner society, then we can continue to prosper and grow as a species, but so can the natural world around us. So can the sharks that we love dearly. So can the crocs that have been making a great resurgence. And so can the panthers, who are holding on by the tip of their claw to the last holdouts here in Florida. And those are just 3 species out of millions, out of billions that live on this earth. And just like all the unseen animals, there are all the unseen heroes out there as well that need our support. And we can do that. It's simple changes, small, minute actions that will mean the world to them. I thank you so much for being a part of this journey. I hope we can take this war to the very end. I hope we can kick extinction's butt, and I hope we can stay wild. Take care.
Yeah.